All right, let's start off with the Excel session. So I'll just introduce you the whole program that we are going to be running. Just a moment. Windows P, the first shortcut is to duplicate your projector. So let me just connect it. So we have four options. You want the PC screen only. You want a duplicate screen. That is whatever is on your laptop is going to be seen on the projector. And if you want an extend screen, so a lot of times, we are working with multiple windows. When you're working at your office, it is possible you'll have 3-4 screens to look at. Generally, the stock market and technical analysts and all do. But at times, people who are very fidgety and they want that speed to be very high, they have two screens. एक screen पे mail है, एक screen पे दूसरा है. When you want to simultaneously work and increase your speed. I used to have two screens, so we do that. And if you want only the second screen, that is that. A very bad way of starting an Excel session. So let's just start off with it. So I'll just introduce you to the whole program that we are going to be running right now. So we've divided the whole content into 4 modules. The modules that we do at the corporate trainings is exactly what we are going to be covering in the trainings right now. So the modules that we've done, like say for example, I took a training at Saregama or Century Ply or Quaker Chemicals recently, and AUM Capital and Genpact or eTrans or whatever trainings at Tata and whatever trainings that we've been doing. It's not that we are doing a different training over there and a different training over here. So the training and the training modules are going to be very similar. It's almost the same. In fact, there's much more over here, because in a corporate training, we get a time frame which is like a 12-hour training in a 2-day period or a 16-hour or 14-hour. And over here, we have the liberty to, design everything that is going to be required. Right. So we've got much more liberty over here to get ahead with the training. And there's a lot more that we'll be doing actually. And the modules are exactly the same. So it is a corporate training that you're attending. So always think of it from that perspective. Now, the 4 modules, the first one is the basic to advanced. So how are you going to get, even if you do not know Excel, we'll be doing the basic to advanced module, which is the most basic functions that is going to be required in every kind of area. The data management is basically reporting, analyzing, data crunching, preparing reports and all, which is again going to be required by every kind of department, be it HR, be it marketing, be it finance, be it anything. Because eventually everybody is going to be working with data on a computer. And what do you use? You use Excel. You'll use a PowerPoint just to make presentations. You'll use a Word software just to create documents or reports, and you will be using Excel for everything else. Generally, your profile is going to be requiring 80 to 85% of your time to be devoted to Excel, and that 10 and 5% will be Word and PPT mix. 10% is generally a PowerPoint and 5% hardly goes to Word. But of course, Word is also important. If you do not learn the basic tricks, then that 5% will become 20%. And that 80% is also going to be blown out of proportion. I'll show you the tricks what we are going to learn. The third module is just a one-day thing wherein we just cover the Word and PowerPoint. It's not going to be how to insert an image and clip art and the swivel animation and all. We're not doing that rubbish. The corporate presentation, one part of it, a very important one, is going to be the do's and don'ts of a corporate presentation, which is very important. I've seen people, I used this very bad example last time. So I've seen people using, not knowing the corporate how to present a corporate PPT and all. If you remember that example, that movie, that's 2 States, if you remember. So he gets a girl just by making presentations for his father-in-law, right? Corporate presentation is very different from a normal presentation that you make. Now, if you give me, let's say a 20, 30, 40 page Word document, which needs to be converted to a very good looking presentation, I take hardly 5 to 7 minutes. So how do you do that? How do you meet your deadlines? How do you get your work done? So those things we'll cover. And the finance module, of course, is not going to be relevant for all the marketing HR professionals. It's going to be restricted to the finance guys, right? So I'll just quickly introduce you. So this is what I've done. Graduated from Xavier's, CACS, CFA, FRM, CAIA, CCRA, and I've been a visiting faculty at NSC and BSc along with Xavier's, Bhawanipur College, JDBI, and quite a few B schools. In fact, in BIBS, I had run a full Excel module for the B school students. So the training module that we've actually designed over here is based on the corporate trainings, on the B schools training, on the colleges training, because Xavier's College, I was taking a career-oriented program. There were two of those actually for which I had taken the Excel session of theirs. I had designed the curriculum and I had taken the Excel session. And the corporate training is just the list is being increasing by God's grace. And we do a lot of consulting work and a lot of for the clients in India as well as abroad, which entails consulting. I proudly say that two of my students did a proper solar power plan they made for an Australian company, and a B plan for that. So that was great, and that was executed mostly by them. I was just guiding them throughout. So, and they had also done the Excel session. So it's great, and a lot of good number of students are working with me on various assignments based on the Excel modules. I was working at MIS budgeting and forecasting profile at Kane India, from where the interest for Excel started off. Right, so that's roughly. So why you should be doing it, I'll actually show you a few actions, that how quickly I can do a certain number of actions, and you'll yourself understand that, you know, how easy it is. If you know things, you can save like hours of your time. Right, so I'll show you why you should be doing. Let's not get into this. Certification and all, agreed, it's very important for people. But again, another student who's joined ICICI Bank's mutual fund department, he commented, Dhananjay, he called me up the other day and he's like, you know, bhaiya, interview mein most of the questions were Excel related, and he cracked them pretty well. And he cracked the interviews and he's working over there. So certification ke liye, a lot of people, CA students will put IT training is done, and you know, that is how you write certification from Aptech, certification from NIIT, or whatever XYZ institute's name. When you people will mention your Excel skills in your resume, it's not CV, that's incorrect, it's resume. When you mention these skills in your resume, you will not write certification from so and so XYZ institute. You will write proficiency in using or using advanced pivots, slicers, dashboards, scenario sensitivity tables, regression analysis, let's say VBA and macros. These are the things you'll mention. You'll pinpoint exactly ki mere ko ye aata hai, and if you employ me, you are going to be saving a lot of time. You don't have to teach me, you don't have to train me. I'll be very quick, I'll be very efficient, and I'll meet all the deadlines. And when he'll ask you questions, because I'll tell you, you'll put VLOOKUP is a very basic function which everybody who's using Excel uses, and I'll tell you, VLOOKUP is a bad idea. You're supposed to be using index match. The moment you mention on your resume index match, the person, 99% of the corporates that I have trained so far have not been using index match function, and after learning the function, they understand, yes, it's better than a VLOOKUP. You might not be understanding exactly what I'm saying, but once we start learning, and when it's there in your resume, the person will question you on that, and you will be prepared to answer. So the certificate is not of value, but the practice and what you learn is going to be more valuable in that regard. So I'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to be writing in your resume. You'll understand it yourself. Right. So anyway, so your resume, learning, speed, efficiency, all those things you understand. You need to carry your laptops. Even for video students, you'll need to be watching the class, and then you'll need to be practicing. The practice files have been shared with you, and the practice files will be in such a manner that there is a question file and there is a solution file. The question file will be practicing in the class. The solution file is for your reference later on. Make sure that you keep an original copy of the files shared with you separately, so that later on when you want to revisit, revise a certain component, a certain concept, you can always get back to that. So make sure you have an original copy maintained. So we'll read the rest of the stuff. So for the live classes, we are starting the classes today. So the first module is going to be 2 sessions. It's less about the hours and more about the content that I need to cover. So we'll discuss on the content. We'll have 2 sessions for the advanced module, 3 sessions for the data management. Then we break for the New Year's Eve, and then we'll have 1 session wherein the corporate presentation and reporting both will be taken care of. And the last one will be the finance module, which will be a 3-day session. So in each of the modules, in today's module, you'll understand the most basic and the most commonly used functions, the basic to advanced, the mathematical, the pay special. I'll show you quite a few tricks today. So we'll be covering the first half today, and the second half we'll be looking at in the next day's session. So the advanced Excel is what we start off today. Right, it's got the textual functions, the date functions, the lookup, logical, and the basics of pivots and, you know, generating a report or something. In the second module, we actually get into a lot of data work. So the index match, which I was talking about, or the advanced date functions, the advanced SUMIF, COUNTIF, and all those functions. Data validation. Now there are a lot of tricks. You might be knowing COUNTIF function, say for example, but how to apply, where to use it, how to automate that whole process, that we need to learn. How to apply apply these things to the corporate sheets and all. So the material is in that manner that you will be able to relate to it. If you're making an error, how do you check for an error? How do you eliminate those errors? That is going to be in the formula auditing techniques. Scenario managers has become very important because any kind of data analysis or valuation, say for example, I want to do an analysis wherein I want to change, let's say 20 inputs. Let's say, you know, the inflation rate, the growth rate and the tax rate and the depreciation rate. I have like 20 inputs, and based on that I'm creating a profile, I'm creating a projection. If I want to have multiple alternatives, as in, you know, for those 20 inputs, I want to see in situation if these are the 20 inputs, then how does my file look like? So those kind of analysis and all we need to do. I'll show you a sensitivity table right now. And you know, cleaning the data is very important because whatever data you're receiving is going to be having a lot of errors, spelling mistakes, extra spaces. So those things need to be very important. We'll do a little bit of array functions, and advanced filtering and dashboard is one of the highlights of this whole module. Dashboard is one of the most important parts because you'll need to learn all these things in order to get to the dashboard part. And advanced pivots and advanced charts, customizing ribbons and macros is going to be very important. Customizing ribbon and macros is going to be very important, and using VBA codes. Now I'm not telling you that you'll be using or you'll be learning VBA coding, but using VBA codes, we are definitely going to be working on that. And in the third module, we get into the PowerPoint session. So how do you convert a 30-40 page document immediately into a good looking presentation? So that part needs to be taken care of. Now, MS Word, how many of you actually type the table of contents and the page numbers and all when you're creating a Word document? We are not supposed to be typing anything on the whole table of contents need not be typed. That is automatically going to be generated. The page numbers in the table of contents is supposed to be automatically generated. So those kind of tricks and things is what we are supposed to be learning, In fact, even in Gmail and all, I'll be covering quite a few tricks in Gmail. Like I'll just give you a small little example over here. Suppose a shift question mark. Suppose I run a shift question mark. Anybody opens a Gmail account and just presses a shift question mark, gives them a list of all the shortcuts that's there available on Gmail, that's there available for Gmail. The moment I press a C, it's a compose mail. A control R is a reply. A control shift R is a reply to all. A control enter is going to be send to all. And a lot of other settings can be changed because Gmail everybody is going to be invariably using. If you're using a smartphone, if you're using an Android phone, you're using a Gmail account. Right, and not only restricted to Gmail, we have a lot of Google Keep, Google Calendar, Google News. There are a lot of different apps that's available. So we'll need to look into that also, how to optimize the use of Gmail. So I will be covering a little portion of it on Gmail as well. Right, so these things become very important. Your speed is going to be magnificent after you're comfortable with these kind of shortcuts and all. Speed is what we are looking at. And knowing things like I'll just show you a couple of tricks in that case actually. Just a second. I had a file. 1 second. I need to check my glass. So let me show you. I'll just show it to you. You're not supposed to be doing it with me right now. I'll just show you what are the different tricks we can do it at a very good in a very convenient manner. And then we'll start off with the session. Say for example, this is data. This is a data set wherein this is pura ka pura Midwest. This part is Midwest. This is Denver's data. This is Kansas City's data. When we do a lot of reporting, what I want to do is I want to fill this with Denver. I want to fill this with Kansas City. I want to fill this with Midwest. Then this with North. What a normal person does is, almost all the corporates I have seen, most of the people do not know these simple tricks, and this is very commonly used, this filling up of data and all. What people will do is individually you will be copy pasting. That's what normally people would do, including everybody, including me. When I was at Cairn, after approximately 40-50%, 60% of what I've learned is after my job with my consulting work, and because of my own interest, and most of it has been on the job. All I'll need to do, I'll just show it to you how quickly it's going to be. And done. This is what we are looking at. This is exactly what we are looking at. So these things, just see how many seconds did I take to get this done. And people will be spending time on this. So if you are going to be doing the job of, let's say, 2 people, you're obviously going to get paid more than what 1 person would get. These skills are very important. These skills are very, very important, right? So it's just an example. We'll do so many sheets like this. So a lot of times you have so many data sets. You have so many data sets where you've deleted a bit of lines in between. I need to delete all those lines. You will be individually deleting these lines, but what I will be doing is this much. And all the lines in between are gone. So these are the tricks which we need to learn. These are the tricks which we need to learn. Another example I'll show you would be, let's say, I'll show you a torrent and an HR dashboard too. Let's start with these two. So this is a very full-fledged model on this is a very huge model wherein we have the past data and then we are projecting the future years. It's a 2-year-old database, and you know we've got the number of sheets. If you look, pura DuPont analysis is done. This is going to be there in the finance module. I want to show you just one sheet over here. Now, how do you keep track of so many sheets? All those things become very important. This is what I want to show you. Now, what it is this is a table. Now, these could be the growth rates. These could be the various EBITDA margins, right? These are the EBITDA margins. For finance people, this is like a profit percentage, this is like a growth percentage. So if I assume this to be my profit percentage and this to be my growth margin, what is my share price going to be? So this grid is giving you the sensitivity that if this is the growth rate, if this is the EBITDA margin, this is going to be the value of the share. And this is coming through a huge number of calculations which is running down all these sheets. Now you cannot automate that using one formula over here. That is something called data analysis. You have something called data and you have a what if analysis over here, wherein we have scenario analysis, goal seek, data tables, data sensitivity tables and managers and all. This is what we do in the second module. Right? These are the kind of tricks which we need to learn. Then say for example, I'll show you the file HR dashboard. When we are looking at this file, basically you'll have a lot of data collected. Now, if I have data collected in this manner about a good number of employees, about 400 lines of data, it could run to 4,000 lines also, it wouldn't matter. I'll click on the department and you see the number of employees on a year-on-year basis for that department is here. If I click on this location, the location-wise data of employees is over here. If I click on any of the year's total salary summary, the breakup with respect to the department and the salary, and the breakup with respect to the location and the salary, and the breakup with respect to the employees by location and all these things all turn up immediately. If I click over here, I'll get the details of that particular employee and his details over here in a summarized manner. We can create a rough dashboard. This is a dashboard. A car's dashboard is where you have all the details with respect to the speed of the car, the fuel and the brake oil and all those details. Similarly, this is a dashboard wherein you have all the details with respect to the data that you've collected. We not only create one dashboard, we've got a PL dashboard, we've got a cost dashboard, we'll have a revenue dashboard, we'll have a product-wise dashboard, we'll have a customer-wise dashboard having top 10 customers, top 10 items, and you know we will create those kind of dashboards. I'll show you another example which you'll be making. A very nice looking dashboard. No, this is not the one. So I have another dashboard. This working dashboard can be created within maximum 5 minutes, wherein you just click on the year and all the data is appearing. Much better than this. A 10 times better dashboard within 5 to 10 minutes or 15 minutes we can create. So this kind of data, these kind of things we are supposed to be working on. Say for example, we'll be looking at the B plans and how to create a B plan and all in the finance module. We'll be looking at, say, suppose if I enter in the revenue computation, suppose I will enter, there are product 1, product 2, product 3, I've got multiple products over here. Suppose I'll enter over here, 10 rupees is the selling price and the number of units is 5,000. So 50,000 should be the revenue. The cash flow statement should have a 50,000 receivables automatically. The balance sheet should have 50,000 in the asset. I guess it's not linked yet. The key balance sheet items and the whole ratios, because there's a 5000 and all the other ratios are 0 right now. So all that data should be flowing automatically, and the whole B plan should be ready by just entering once. One data needs to be entered once in an Excel file. Everywhere else, wherever there is automation, wherever there is a set standard as to how the data should be flowing, should be happening automatically and not by you doing it manually. We are not supposed to be doing manual work in this manner. Right, so these are the things we are looking at. Another one little piece, I'll just show it to you and then we'll start off. I think so. Now we are not going to be learning exactly as to how to write a VBA code. I'll not teach you how to write a VBA code. We are not learning a code, but for very basic functions, we can have VBA codes that's available on Google. VBA code for creating an index, on Excel. So you just Google it up, you'll find VBA codes. There are websites which are filled with VBA codes for the most basic functions. So in that case, what we could do is, so I'll just show you how simple it could be. Just give me a second. We'll do this in the second module, so don't worry if you're not getting it. Okay, now what I'll do is, you create an index, you have all the list of sheets names over here, and then you have them hyperlinked in such a manner that if you click on absolute, you go to that sheet, and when you click on back to index, you're back over here, right? What I'll do is, this should work. I hope it runs right now. Run, and you see what happened? Automatically the names of the sheets were typed and they were hyperlinked. Let me show you another one. Let me insert a few sheets. Now what you would be doing is right click and then you will be like insert, or you'll be clicking on a plus somewhere over here and it'll take a lot of time. What I'll do is a shift F11. And now let me create an index over here on any of the sheets. I'll just have to click, see, sheet 8, sheet 7, sheet 6, whatever names you'll give to the sheet, all those sheets names are typed out automatically, they are hyperlinked automatically. Someone would be spending at least 5-7 minutes to type the names, to get the hyperlinks and all done, and it's a very irritating thing to do. But what I did was just one click. And I will be creating my own menu over here. Saregama was the last training I did for VBA portion, therefore that is the ribbon you can see over here. But otherwise I would have my name over here. You will have your name over here, wherein you'll click create links to all sheets and automatically the links will be created. So we will keep all those things over here. This is what we are learning. It's not a classroom training, it is a corporate training. So it's not an Excel class, it's a corporate training which we are starting off. I'll give you another example. Let's say I have a number over here. I have a little number over here. Now if you want to change the format, what normally you would do is you would put a comma over here, or a percentage over here, or a date over here, or the best you would do is right click and format cells. At least use a control 1 for that. That opens the format dialog box, and then you create this. Sorry for the sarcasm, but it gets, you need to speed it up. Right? So now what I'll do is, you see the way I'll change the formats? Percentage, money, date, time, number as it is, number with 2 decimal places. It's a control shift with either a hyphen or a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5. So just type any random number and with a control shift run hyphen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just try this. And people spend crazy amount of time working on formatting issues and all. These are the things we need to learn, creating these indices, making our work automated. And the finance module has to have a lot of corporate finance and budgeting, forecasting and PL accounts and automation and B plans and valuations, sensitivity, regression analysis. Say for example, if you give me your cost data and profit data for certain products, I should be able to form an equation. Now suppose someone questions you that this is what I want, this is a product I want, say suppose it's some wooden something or something like that, and they ask you what is going to be a tentative price. You'll have to do a whole lot of calculations. At least with a 80-90% accuracy, I might be able to give you an equation if you have the past data collected properly. Now one more thing for those who are working, those who have a little bit of Excel knowledge. Now suppose I have, let's say I have a list of data, I have a list of numbers over here. Say for example, one second, let me create a So I have a list of random numbers over here. What we'll do with this list of random numbers is I want the summation. So I'll just sum up this number and my summation, my total is turning up to this. You'll see how we sum it up so quickly and all those things. We'll work on that. So when we are summing up, we are getting this value over here. Right. Now my question is that if I add a few new numbers over here, you will have to change the formula of the cell, because this cell is summing up data from the 16th L16 cell up to L58 cell. Right. This formula is summing up data from L16 to L58. Now, if I want that if there is new data added over here, I don't want to change this formula. I want this formula to change automatically. We will do that. People just keep on wasting so much of time, because when you're using a VLOOKUP, whatever formula you're using, you have to change the range. But we will never change the range. We will do those tricks that you'll never have to update a single formula. All the formulas are going to be updated automatically. So these are the things we need to learn. Like say for example, if I open a Word document and so let's say I want to make this a capital letter. So all I need to do is I have all the options running. Whether it's a capital, whether it's a small, whether it's a proper case. Say for example, especially for those who are using, PDFs and you're copying data from the website for college projects and all. A lot of times when you're copying data, it comes in a very distorted manner, especially when you convert a PDF. There's a B dot something and there is a C dot something. And it becomes very irritating to actually, edit this portion. And you have to edit those bullets and all to make it standardized. Now, if I highlight the 3 rows, all the 3 rows are going to get highlighted. But all I need to do is, I need to highlight just this area and I need to delete that. So we will learn these kind of tricks. How do you make your work easy? How do you make your work easy? How do you shorten your content? If I'm making a PPT, say for example, I want to make a presentation, there's a lot of ways in which, I'll type out the whole thing in Word. I'll just copy paste it on PPT and it'll all get automatically segregated into different slides and all. So how do we do that? So when you're looking at the presentation, we'll have a lot more. Say for example, your certificates when they are printed. Your certificates when they are going to be printed, it's not edited. Every certificate is not edited individually. There is a list of names that's there on the Excel sheet which is taken and your certificates are going to be printed automatically for all of those. So how do you automate? You want to send a mail to 500 people and you want their name and the data is different. You want to generate. I actually was in an office wherein there was a person who used to sit for 3 days just to make bills. He would look at the Excel, he'll copy the amount, copy the name, copy a couple of things, and in a set format of bill, he would be generating bills. Human labor is cheap right now, but not for very long. And you don't want to be the cheap human labor, right? So right now you can afford someone doing that for 3 days, but that process can be automated by just maximum 10 minutes of your time, right? So these are the things we are supposed to be looking at. It's very important that our skill set is good. Use apps. I mean, yesterday I was surprised to know there was a sales team, the people from the sales department, they were not aware of the app called CAMCard. The purchase department and the sales department are going to be interacting with most number of people on a daily basis. They will be having like a booklet of visiting cards. Downloading a simple app like a CAMCard can just solve your purpose. You click the photo of a visiting card, whether it's a one-sided or a two-sided photo, it will automatically save everything in your phone book. in your phone and with the photo of your visiting card. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to type anything. It's just clicking a photo, and you don't have to carry the visiting cards. It's always there in the digital format. Right? So very, very, very useful apps are there, very useful things are there to do, like this creation of an index. Right? So lot of things can be automated, lot of things. That automation is what we are supposed to be learning. So of course we'll have to do the basic to advanced module first in order to be able to tackle the data board, dashboard analysis and all of that. Right? So let's start with the first module. Now with respect to your training content, I've just added 2 more files. Excel shortcut keys is given to you. If you notice, you have the Excel shortcut keys which is there. Now Excel shortcut keys, a few of them I have highlighted them as well. So these are the most commonly used Excel shortcut keys. Now having a sheet of paper and remembering Excel shortcut keys is not how it works. What you need to do is you need to always keep going to Google. Control T is add new tab. See, control page down works over here. You can close a window, you can add a few windows. It's that quick. You need to shortcut to rename a sheet. I'll have to Google shortcut to rename a sheet and I will get an option over here. The answer is Alt OHR and I'll get a link over here. See, we have an Alt OHR over here. Alt OHR. That is how you rename a sheet. So even on the same page, you'll get the shortcut. You'll Google it once and use it, twice and use it, thrice and use it, 4th time and use it, 5th time you'll remember. So you'll have to start using the shortcuts. You're not supposed to be using the mouse. That's the first thing to start off with. The other thing is I always recommend please invest in a good mouse and please use a mouse even with your laptops. It's quite important because otherwise your speed increases. When you're using a mouse, your speed increases quite significantly. So and I don't know, I mean the trackpad and all, when you're using the touchpad, it's a little difficult at times. So it's always a good idea to invest in a good mouse and use a mouse. Right? And for Excel, please try and avoid as much as possible using a mouse over there. Right? Try to avoid using a mouse for Excel as much as possible. There will be portions, pivots and all where you'll have to use it. The finance module, we will be doing all the financial projections, financial modeling, valuations, B plans, corporate finance, DCF, FCFF calculation, regression analysis, a little bit of statistics and automating options sheet and all of that. So this is what we're looking at. You have the details, you have the contact numbers and all. The live classes have already started. The video classes will be available December, by end of December, January 1st week, so that we are done with 2 modules at least. Because we are not going to be sending the older classes outside Calcutta. So for the outside Calcutta students, we'll be starting off with the classes after December. Right. So let's start with the first module. So mathematical, you'll just go to the mathematical folder. Just go to the folder mathematical and the first file mathematical functions part 1. Just go to the first file and go to the folder mathematical functions part 1. I hope everybody is with me. They've got the files and everything. There's a folder called mathematical functions part 1. Just a second. I've gone a little fast. Now we'll not be going fast. I was just showing you what are the things we can do. Excited, I mean at least looking forward to these things, increasing your speed, I guess. Trust me, there's a lot more. Alright, let's start off with the first the first sheet. So mathematical functions, first of all you're going to be using a control page up and a control page down to move across sheets. So when you came from the first sheet to the second sheet, you're supposed to be using a control page down. In fact, even on Google Chrome, a control page up and a control page down works to move across tabs. It's the same for Mozilla or Internet Explorer. So you'll use a control page up and a control page down. When you wanted to open the folder, you are supposed to be using a Windows E shortcut. You have been opening Windows Explorer all throughout your life. Windows E is the shortcut to open Explorer. So a few shortcut with a Windows file would be Windows D shows you the desktop. Windows E is going to open the Windows Explorer. Windows arrow down and arrow up is maximize and restore. So it's that quick. So Windows arrow up and arrow down is going to be maximizing or restoring the window. Windows D is Windows Desktop. Windows E is Windows Explorer. So you need to open your file Explorer. It is going to be Windows E. And the last one, Windows L, is going to be lock. So when you're leaving your computer unattended, you go for a Windows lock. Right? And you are always expected to lock your computer before you leave. This is what you will be taught in internal controls if you're doing a CA or something. So Windows Explorer. So a few shortcuts, start using those. And the only way to learn shortcuts is by actually using the shortcuts and not mugging up. No mugging up of shortcuts or learning, sitting and learning shortcuts is gonna help. Right? So control page up, control page down is going to be the shortcuts. I will be irritating you because every time I'll be repeating the same shortcuts again and again unless you start remembering those. So control page down, we move to the next sheet. In the first sheet, now you'll be expecting that I'm just showing you a summation formula. I'm just going to do a summation for you. Now, in Excel is a spreadsheet software. This is your workbook. A file is known as a workbook. These are your worksheets. You would be wondering where my grid lines are. It's there. I don't like to see the grid lines. It looks a little untidy, so I remove the grid lines. I'll show you how we are doing all these things, how to remove and apply the grid lines and all. So these are your cells. Every cell has got an address which can be seen over here. It is the intersection of the column K, It is the intersection of column K and the row 7. So that is how you address a cell. Any formula that needs to be written in Excel is going to start with an equal to sign. You can also start the formula with a plus sign. Now, what is the utility of using a plus sign? Please do not go for the small, fashionable, colorful laptops and all. Look at having a number pad in your laptop. It's very important, especially, when you're working a lot on your laptops throughout the day. It's always a very good idea to have a laptop which has a number pad in it. Because you have the number key over there, the number pad, it increases your speed. Even if you have a smaller laptop and if you're working at your workstations in a single place at home on a regular basis, what you can do is you can always attach a keyboard to it. You can always use a wireless keyboard and a mouse. It's always very helpful. Right? So over in the keyboard, what happens, I know I'm getting into a little too much details, but this is what will save time. This is what will increase our speed. Plus sign se fayda kya hota hai? Plus sign is a very big key on the right part of your keyboard if you're using your number pad on the keyboard. Right? So otherwise people will start with an equal to sign. I don't have to look at the keyboard. I can just type a plus sign without looking at the keyboard. It's a big key on the right side, on the rightmost area of my keyboard when I have a number pad. You can always start your formulas with either an equal to sign or a plus sign. The moment you start typing a function name, you will have a list of functions that will appear over here. In the list of functions, as you scroll down, you would notice that you have the description of the function that is over here. You have the description of the function given over here. Right? So the description of the function is given. You can choose the function that you feel like, that you're comfortable with, that you want to use. So I'll choose the function sum and I'll press a tab. I have not typed the whole function. Say for example, I have to use a function SUMPRODUCT. I'm not going to be typing so much. I've scrolled down to that. I'll press a tab and the function name will automatically close and the bracket will automatically open up. Are we okay till here? So any function, you choose the function by scrolling down. When you have the choice of function selected, you press a tab and the function name is closed and the bracket is opened. Now, please do not use your mouse. All you need to do is use your arrow keys to scroll anywhere across your sheet. And we need to select these cells over here because I'm looking at a summation of these cells, right? And enter. If this is not working out, we just need to double click, right? This is okay. Now, what are the things? We have a better shortcut over here. I can just simply press an Alt equal to and my summation appears. Just see Alt equal to and my summation is done. I didn't have to type equal to sum, tab, select the area. And Alt equal to is the shortcut for auto summation which can be seen over here. The auto summation. So Alt equal to works. Now for a lot of people, if Alt is not working, please use the Alt key that is on the left side of the spacebar. The right side Alt key is not going to work for these shortcuts. So Alt key that needs to be used, Alt equal to, is on the left side of the spacebar. Are we okay till here, everybody? Right, so this is the alt key, alt equal to. Computer is smart enough, Excel is smart enough to understand if I do an alt equal to over here, it is going to take the summation of the cells on the left side. If I do not like the choice, let's say I do an alt equal to over here, sorry, I do an alt equal to over here, and again I do an alt equal to, I'm not happy with the choice. I don't want the summation of these two. I want the summation of these cells. I can choose these cells. I use an alt equal to key. I'm not happy with the selection. I don't want the summation of these two cells over here. I want the summation of these cells over here. So I can very well choose these. So Excel is making a choice of this sort. Excel is choosing this one. You can always use the arrow keys and make your own choice for choosing the keys that you want to sum up. So alt equal to is a shortcut for summing it up. The next thing is that if I want to sum up these 4 rows, it's very easy for me to select these 4 rows. Right, but if there is a 100 line or a 200 line, you would be using your mouse dragging, and then you'll end up reaching a little higher, then you'll go a little lower, and then you'll keep on juggling and you'll keep on moving across the sheet. That is not how we are supposed to be doing. There's a very simple shortcut. Use the arrow keys after pressing by pressing and holding the control key. When I use, just see on the screen, when I use the control key, it's taking me right across the sheet. Left, 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 right, 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 right. So basically the control key is for quick navigation. It takes you to the next working cell, to the last working cell. The control key is going to take you to the last working cell. Right? So over here, if I want to choose, say for example, these 4 cells, I'll go to the cell, shift is to select the cells, highlight cells. You have to hold the shift key if you want to highlight. So control, shift and arrow down is going to highlight this. So if I have a list of 1000 numbers or something, I'll just need to do a control, shift, arrow down, and all the 1000 numbers will be selected automatically. So when you do an alt equal to, I'll go to the cell, control, shift, arrow down, and I've selected. Control arrow keys are for quick navigation. Control, shift, arrow keys are for quick navigation while selecting or highlighting the cells in between. Control, shift, arrow keys would be highlighting the area while highlighting the cells in between. Quick navigation is control key, highlighting is the shift key, and you can combine the both of them in order to make it a control shift, so you'll be highlighting quickly all the cells in between. So this is your control shift key. Are we okay till here? Right, so just try the alt equal to key very quickly and we'll move to the next part. Are we done? Simple. Now, one more thing that you should be looking out for is that instead of having the summation at the bottom of your sheet, it's always advisable to have the total and the average and all at the top of your sheet. Because if I add more lines below this data, you'll have to keep on shifting the total row. You'll have to keep on shifting the total row to a cell below. You'll have to keep on cut karo isko and then paste karo niche. You'll have to keep on doing that. If you have the totals over here, you won't have to do that. The next thing is alt equal to, I can select this range to a much larger extent, and whatever data is going to turn up underneath is going to be added, included automatically. It's going to be included automatically, so you'll not have to upgrade your range. The update range is a very bad way of doing it technically. Actually, you should not be doing this way. We'll learn the automation of ranges wala part in the second module. Then we'll understand, you'll never have to ever change a formula's range. You'll never ever have to change the formula's range. It'll automatically keep on updating itself. Are we okay till here? This one. Now, let's see the other one. SUMPRODUCT is not a function that you use very commonly, that you use very generally. I just wanted to include this function so that you are able to learn new functions by yourself. Number of functions in Excel are somewhere between 400 or something. It's around 400 functions. Of course, you're not going to be able to learn all the 400 functions or use 400 functions, because every profile will demand a different kind of function to be used. Right? So over here, say for example, I have the quantity, I have the price, and I want to find out the total value of the inventory. Very simple. It's a price into quantity is going to give you the value of inventory. You start with a plus or an equal to sign, this cell multiplied by this cell, and you get this. And I will be copying the formula. I will be copying the formula in the cells below. So I'll actually copy it. I'll show you the other technique also. I'll copy the formula in the cell below. Instead of, if I want to copy this formula and paste over here, I can do a Control C and a Control V. The other option is I can do a Control C and I can highlight this area and I can press enter. Even enter works as a paste in Excel. What's the difference between a Control C, Control V and a Control C enter? Anyone wants to try? When you do a Control C and a Control V, say for example I do a Control C and a Control V, I can do a Control V again, a Control V again, and a Control V again. But if the moment I do an enter, it is no more on the keyboard and there is no Control V is going to work. So when you want to paste the data only once, you press an enter. Now again, it's easier to press an enter than a Control V, because enter you don't have to look at the keyboard. When you copy something and paste something and you want to paste it only once, an enter will work. Right? But if you want to paste it multiple times, you'll have to do a Control V. You have to do a Control V. A better method would be not even to do a Control C or a Control V or an enter. I will just highlight this data and my data is filled up. How do we do that? Control D. D for down. There is a shortcut Control down. Control down, what it does is you need to select the cell 6900 as well and the cells below it. Control down, Control D, fills the formula that is there in the topmost cell in all the cells below. So it's a Control D. If I want to fill this formula on the right side, it would be Control R. Fill the formula on the right. Control D is fill the formula down and Control R is fill the formula right. Control D is fill the formula down and Control R is fill the formula right. Right? Control D is fill the formula down and Control R is fill the formula right. Very useful shortcuts. Right? Now there is a simple function called a sum product. You start your formula with a plus or an equal to and you start typing the function name. Suppose the function's name is sum product over here. I'm scrolling down the list of functions. Sum is telling me it adds the number. SUMIF tells me it adds the cell based on a criteria. We'll cover this in the next module. SUMIFs, again, it's a similar thing. Sum product, it tells you the description of the formula is given over here. It returns the sum of the products of corresponding ranges or arrays. I will not type the whole thing. I'll just press a tab. Sum product is going to give you the summation of the products of corresponding ranges or arrays. So my inputs are a plus sum product, this range, comma, this range, and the range is Control Shift arrow down. So these two ranges, the corresponding product of these two ranges, ka summation is going to be this sum product formula's output. So you check what you calculated individually 16890 is the same as 16890 over here. What you calculated 16890 by doing a P into Q and getting the value and then having the values over here is the same as having a 16890 over here. Tell me, are we good till here? So in this way, if there is, say for example, there is this, let me try a new function. Even I have not used this ever. Sum x2 my2. Okay, sums the differences between the squares of two corresponding ranges or arrays. Sums the differences between the squares. So let me show you how it works. This comma this is this much, and I'll show it to you individually. This multiplied by this one, this square minus this into this. So x square minus y square, Control D, Alt equal to, and see both the numbers are same. So the square of this range minus the square of this range is what that weird function is doing over here. Sum x2 y2. So it's your plus sum x2, y2 sums the differences between the squares of two corresponding ranges or arrays. So I don't need to learn this function separately to teach you. I just randomly picked up a function, I saw the description and I worked it out. Even if you are unsure, take a dummy data like this and see if it's working or not. Once you learn the function, you can keep applying. So it depends on your profile, on your work and all, but you'll need to learn these new functions. Are we okay till here? So alt equal to is a shortcut for summation. We'll use that. We'll use the control key to quick navigate, control shift key to quick navigate while selecting the cells. We'll try to keep the summation all on the top of the cell. Control D is fill the formula down, control R is fill the formula right, control page up, page down is to move across sheets. Right? We are sorted till here. Control page down and we move to the next sheet. Not very important, this one. We're just trying to build up a little bit. So basically, when you have like a budgeted data and a forecasted data, suppose I'm doing a lot of budgeting for the year 2016. Now I will also get the actual data at the end of 2016. If I want to compare the budgeted data with respect to the actual data, this was your forecast, this was your budget, and this is the actual. You might want to find out the percentage difference between the two. That what was the budgeted, what's the difference between the budgeted data and the actual data. You want to find out the percentage? We have a similar question over here. The actual length is given over here and the target length is given over here. Koi bhi cheez ka length hai, not bothered about that. What we need to find out is what is the deviation between the length. So we can always say the target is how much more or less than the actual length. It's 5 less. Target length minus actual length is giving me a -5. The difference between the actual and the target. These are the differences. Now I'm not bothered about whether the difference is on the higher side or the lower side. I'm bothered about the difference part. Right? Because if I sum the differences over here, it's not going to work. I want to find out the average deviations over here irrespective of the sign. There is a simple function ABS which returns the absolute value of a number. So ABS tab and this number is going to give me the number without the sign. ABS function is basically going to give you the number without the sign, absolute value ABS, right? And the percentage deviation is nothing but the deviation divided by the actual length or the target length. You would calculate the deviation with respect to the target, right? Of how much of the target, what percentage of target you've deviated away. So deviation, we'll take it as this much. And again a control D. Average deviation would be average of this much. Average deviation is nothing but a plus sign or an equal to. You type the function average and average of this data. Now a lot of people get confused. I'm doing a control shift up and a control shift down. It's going to work like this. Control shift up, I'll leave the control and a shift arrow down. Shift is for one cell each, highlighting. Control is for multiple cells at the same time. So control shift up takes me here. You leave the control key, the shift is still being held, and arrow down, and that is what the average I'm looking forward to. So it's a very simple function. Deviation is nothing but the difference of the two. Absolute is nothing but the absolute value of this one, and percentage deviation is nothing but a absolute divided by the target. And then I take the average of the percentage deviation. Quickly try this. क्या चीज? Deviation is just the difference. Actual and target. मतलब? Nothing. It's just difference. Equal to this minus this. हाँ, उतना तो टाइप करना होगा. उतना टाइप करना होगा. Done? So very quick one. I'll just revise it again. So deviation, we take the difference. We use the absolute function to get the number without the sign. And then we just calculate the percentage by dividing the absolute with the target. Now what happens is, it is possible that this data, you might be getting it in this format. You might be getting it in this format or this format. The logic is, a 0.13 is equivalent to 13%. And we just discussed that Control Shift hyphen is going to give you the number. Control Shift 1 is going to give you the number with 2 decimal places. Control Shift 2 is going to give you the time format. Control Shift 3 is going to give you the date format. Control Shift 4 is going to give you the dollar format. And Control Shift 5 is going to give you the percentage format. So use the Control Shift and hyphen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order to change the format of the data. And the date and the time portion, don't worry, I'll come to that in the date function file. I'll teach you exactly how we measure time. Right? We'll do that bit. So Control Shift hyphen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is what will give us this data. So any case you find the data not being very, you're not getting the percentage, because at times what happens is, you're making this in a dollar sign and then you put it this way. You'll get a 0. Because a 0.08 is equal to 0. So don't get irritated with that. Just check if the data is working in the formats or not. Okay, I just did not use 6 earlier. So 6 is going to convert the data into the E format. Okay, it's only till 6. 7 does not work. So Control Shift 6. So Control Shift 6 I did not know. So good, a happy mistake, I guess. So we'll move to the next sheet. Control page down. Control page down. Come to the sheet min-max. We are doing very basic functions right now. I think we should speed up a little bit. So we come to the next sheet, min-max. Just get a little, hands-on with the control arrow keys, because that is going to be used throughout. Right? Minimum function, maximum function is the same. A plus min is going to give you the minimum value. I'll select this whole range. Control Shift arrow right. When you're typing a formula in Excel, Excel is going to close the bracket automatically. You need not manually close the bracket. You can just press an enter and the bracket will be automatically closed. You need not manually close the bracket. It will be automatically closed. Only if there is only one bracket in Excel. If there are multiple brackets, you'll have to type the bracket. Otherwise, it will show an error. If there is a single bracket, you don't need to close the bracket. Please press an enter. Be as lazy as possible. Right? Plus max is going to give you the maximum sales of the same area. Enter. And we already did Control D. Since this was the minimum of this area, this is the minimum of this area. This is the minimum of this area. This is the minimum of this area. All I did was Control D. A min function and a max function and a Control D. Fill the formula down. This is fill the formula down. If I can fill this formula down, if I can fill this formula down, I can select two cells together and fill both the cells ka formula niche down, right? fill the formula down. It's simple. Control D. We are good till here. Everybody. Control page down. We'll come to the next sheet. I know I have skipped a little bit of stuff over here. I'll get back to it after average. So come to the next sheet, average. Come to the next sheet, average. So the data that I have over here is with respect to, let me just highlight the data. There are certain students whose ID is given over here. There is the exam scores given over here, right? I will choose this exam score. I'll just highlight this data, control shift arrow down. And if you would notice at the bottom of the screen on the last bar, the average 74.75 is displayed. There is 61 data points, out of which the numerical count is 58 because 3 data points mein absent likha hai. There are 3 data points wherein absent is written. The minimum and the maximum value is given and the summation of all the selected cells are given. If you select somewhere else, the whole data disappears, but the moment you're on any highlighted range of data, you have all the data points given below. Now, if you right click the data bar, you will see what are the different things that is going to be visible on the list below. In case someone is not being able to see the sum, average or count or something, just right click on that bar, anywhere on that bar at the bottom. Right click, you want to see average, you don't want to see average, whatever you want to see and not want to see, just check or uncheck on the same and your work will be done. Just check or uncheck on the same and your work will be done. Are we good till here? Everybody? Sure? Okay. So now the average is 74.75. Am I okay? Okay. Over here, so basically we had 61 students, 58 present, and 4336 was the total score. This is what we had, right? I'm just typing the data just to show you a couple of things over here. If you notice, this is the average, 61 students, out of which 58 gave the exam, and the summation was 4336. Are we good till here, everybody? Fast lag raha hai kya koi ko? Fast kar sakte hain? Nahin. We are okay, right? Okay, perfect. So there are 61 students, 58 are present, and 4336 is the total score. So let me calculate the average. Plus average. I select the data, control shift down, enter. So I have the average over here. Plus average. I type the function name, I press a tab, the function is completed. I go to the exam score, I select control shift down and enter. And I have the average 74.75. That is what was being shown at the bottom of the screen. Are we good? Now, what the difference I want to show you is plus 4336 divided by 58 is equal to 74.75. Plus 4336 divided by 61 is not 74.75. So basically, average function gives you the average of data ignoring the textual values, because it is giving you the average of 48 students, right? 58 students, right? So if there's an absent, it is not even counting the absent, it is just ignoring the absent. What if you want to find out the average by giving these students a 0 for those who are absent? You want to give the textual data a 0 value and then you want to calculate the average. That function is average A. Average A. You select the data and the average A is going to give you C 71.08197. Now, not a very important function, but you need to understand the difference of the same. And if you have a problem with average A, the reason why I'm covering this function is the moment you write an A before the function, it is not going to ignore the text. It is going to treat the text as 0. And true is equal to 1 in Excel, false is equal to 0, and all other text is equal to 0. True is equal to 1. True is equal to 1. Right? Everybody's okay till here. Now we will go to the Okay, I'll come back. Acha, let's go to the sheet before it. Control page up. Min A and max A. I hope you understand the min A max A logic now. Plus min A is minimum of this area. See, the minimum value is turning out to be 0 because out of this min A function does not ignore text. It considers text as a 0 value. I'll put this as a value. You see, the value becomes 1 because now there is a true value which is equivalent to 1 over here. You're getting it? Over here, my minimum was 2300 for January. Let me change 2300 to ABC. You see, the minimum becomes 2400 and not 0 because text is ignored. You put a text over here, it is going to be ignored. But over here, the text is going to be treated as 0 and true is going to be treated as 1. And same goes for max A, sorry. So max A is going to be 3700. Let me make 3700 an ABC, sorry, an ABC. Anyways, alphanumeric also works. 3700 will no, okay, yahan pe bhi hai. 3700 no more is a maximum value. So basically, even count A. So the idea of having an A, min A, max A, average A, count A, text is not ignored. Text is not ignored. The moment I put that alphabet A, text is not ignored. I wanted to do this because I could cover 4 functions with this. So average A, min A, max A, count A, it all works. It is not going to ignore text. Are we okay till here? We are good? Okay, come back to the next sheet again, the average sheet. Control page down, you come to the sheet again. Now we've learned how to calculate the average and even the average A functions. If I want to find out the 4th highest marks or the 7th lowest marks or something, then what do we do? 4th highest marks, how do I calculate? There are 2 functions to do it, to do the same, large and small. We start the formula with a plus sign, large, tab, I've got the function name. Out of this range, I want the 4th largest, right? Comma 4, enter. So this is the 4th largest. Min and max just had the range, but when you want a 4th largest, 7th largest or something, you'll have to put this data as well. Bolo, okay. And exactly similarly, it's going to work for the small function. You type small, you press a tab, you select the array. And since I wanted the 7th smallest, comma 7 and enter, comma 7 and enter. Bolo, we are good. Everyone. Which one? The alphabets one. Okay, so basically when you're using the average, when you're using the A, min A or max A, minimum function is going to ignore the text. So if I type a text over here, it will ignore and it will find from the remaining values, it will give you the minimum value. But the min A function is going to treat text as 0 and it's going to give you the minimum value as 0. And if there is no text, but if there is a true value, that true value is going to be treated as 1. But min A, max A will not ignore it, but min and max is going to ignore the text. Average A, count A will not ignore the text. Are we okay with the 4th highest marks? Large and small function. Apart from the range, we need to tell them 4th highest, 7th highest, so we need to tell them with a comma sign. Right? In case I forget how to use the large function, I can always press on this function key over here, on this fx key over here in the formula bar, and I will get this dialog box on the screen. The moment I get this dialog box on the screen, it tells me, returns the kth largest value in the data set. So it tells me what the function does. The array is the array or range of data which you want to enter. So it will describe which inputs you need to enter. So array should be this much. Then I go to K. K is the position from the largest in the array which you want to return, 4th largest, enter. So even that way, if you forget any formula, just click on fx and you see which input means what and what does the function is performing. see if we are okay till here. Right. Now someone asked me, in fact in yesterday's training, suppose I want to create a list of top 5 students, top 5 marks, top 7 marks. How do we go about doing it? 1, enter, +1 plus upar wala number is going to make it 2. And when I do this control D, it's going to make it, na, because this is +1 plus upar, this is 1 plus upar wala number, 1 plus upar wala number. That is a serial number, 1 plus the previous number. So I can just make a list like that so quickly. Otherwise mouse use करके इसको वो drag करने वाला काम करना पड़ेगा. I don't like using the mouse. Right. Then when you're using the large function, एक बार screen पे देखेगा, I'll give you time. Plus large, this range. Okay, I have not taught you something. We need to freeze the range. I'll come to it. The freezing portion, I'll come to it. It's in the next sheet, comma. And I'll click on this 1. I have the top 10 values. What I did was, okay, basically when I want to find the largest number will be taken from this range. The second largest number will also be taken from the same range. The third largest number will also be taken from the same range. Correct? So basically, do you think the range should change? This range should be exactly the same every time. Now, when I copy the range, when I copy this range, see this M17 becomes automatically M18 and M19. But do I want this range to change? No. So I need to freeze this range so that this range does not change. I will cover this in next to next sheet. In the other functions sheet, I will cover this. So just give me time. But I just wanted to show you by using M17 as the position. This is the first largest, second largest. You had to put a comma K, right? I have made that K 1, 2, 3, 4 automatically. The K is automatically changing to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because instead of K, I'm putting this number. So I can find the top 10 numbers like this. Are we okay till here? The freeze part, you'll not be able to do it. Let's just move ahead and you can come back to it and try it later. I'll do that in the others sheet. Okay, let's come to the next sheet. Everybody's tried this large and small, right? Okay. In the next sheet, in the count sheet, what we are going to do is, in the count sheet, you have 3 functions. Count, count A, and count blank. You have 3 functions, count, count A, and count blank. Now you might be thinking it to be a very childish function, but once you start using, you'll be combining a lot of functions and using them together. You'll be combining a lot of functions and using them together. So in small little places, you'll be using these functions. AC kam kar do ekdam. So plus count, I'll count this range, and this is giving me this answer, and a control D. All I did was plus count, and I selected this range. So out of this, how many values are there in these cells? 3 values. And all I'll do is, in this range, there are 3 values. In this range, there are 3 values. Sorry, this range, there are 2 values because one is a blank. In this range, there are 3 values. Time is equivalent to a number. Date is equivalent to a number. Date is equivalent to a number. I'll tell you how. But this date is equivalent to 32,143. This date is equivalent to 32,143. We'll come to that. This time is equivalent to a number, 0.895. So date and time is not going to be ignored. Text is not counted if you notice. Look at the second last line. Count function does not count text. If there is an error, the count function will not count it. So basically the count function is going to count all the numerical values. Date and time is a number. Text and errors are not numbers. Count function is going to count the numerical values. Date and time are numbers. Text and errors are not number. True and false is also not considered number. Right? So it's only the date and time that is number. And Excel count function is going to count all the numerical values. Are we okay till here? Okay. In the count A function, it's the same way you write the function count A, and you choose the range, and it's, where am I? And you use this, and you see this one. Now over here, a blank cell is not counted. Date is counted, time is counted, error is counted, text is counted. Everything is counted except for blank cells. So count A is going to give you the number of non-blank cells. Count A is going to give you the number of non-blank cells. Are we okay till here? Count A is going to give you the number of non-blank cells. Right? Everybody? Count blank is going to give you, obviously, the number of blank cells. Count blank is going to give you the number of blank cells. Now how am I doing this so quickly? एक बार screen देखिएगा. मेरे को इसके नीचे Control D करना है. If I want to select all the lines, if I do this, it's going to go to the last cell. What I do is I go left, Control down, I go right, Control Shift up, Control D. You getting what I did? So delete. I go left, Control down, I go right, Control Shift up, and then a Control D. Right? Everybody making sense? So count is counting the number of cells, numerical cells, date time considered as numbers. Count A is going to count all the non-blank cells, and count blank is going to count the number of blank cells. Simple. We'll move forward to the next one. Try this quickly. ये एक साथ करने वाला quickly. मेरे को इसको highlight करना है, but इधर करने से Control Shift down करने से takes me to the last cell. What I want to do is, if I can reach to the last cell over here, I can always do a Control Shift up and reach over here. So last cell कैसे जाना है? बाजू में आया, Control arrow down से नीचे, right से इधर, Control Shift up. You'll need this. यहाँ 5 lines है, but when there are 5,000 lines, you cannot do the scrolling down and all that every time. It's not going to work that way. कहाँ पे? ये. Because that's the next working cell. Na? Control takes you to the next working cell. It takes you over here. This takes me over here. Right, left, left, left. To the last working cell. The control key always takes you to the last working cell. See if we are okay till here. हाँ, यही वाला चीज क्या? लेफ्ट में गए, मेरे को यहां से यहां तक इसको कंट्रोल डी करना है. Now how do I select this? Over here there are 10 lines, but it could be 2000 lines. So what I do is I go to the left cell, I do a control arrow down, and I come to the last working cell. कोई ना कोई कॉलम सीरियल नंबर या कोई ना कोई कॉलम तो भरा हुआ होगा ना. I come to the last working cell. I go right, control shift up. So all I needed to do was I needed to reach yahan. Then a control shift up is gonna do my job, na? And then you can do a control D. Then you can do a control D. Tell me, are we okay till here? Everybody? Sure. We'll move to the last sheet of this file. We'll move to the last sheet of this workbook. The round function. Now, especially for people who are working anything related to tax, I'll give you a very nice trick. We've got 3 functions: round, round up, and round down. So if there is a number like, let's say 45.2, it's going to become 45 when you round it off. If the number is 45.5, 45.7, it's going to become 46. That is a normal round function. To take the number to the nearest integer. That is the number, right? To take the number to the nearest integer, to the closest integer. 45.2 will become 45, 45.5 or above will become 46. Round up function will always take the number 45.2, 45.4, 6, 8, whatever be it, it's always going to be 46. A 45.2 will also become 46. Always round up. A round down function will always round down. So 45.2, 45.8, 45.9, it's going to be 45. So round is going to take you to the nearest integer, whether it's above or below. A round up or a round down is going to, round up will always take you to the integer above, and a round down will always take you to the integer below. Right? So we are okay with this much? Right. There's going to be two inputs that you need to put in when you're rounding off a number. Round this number, comma, to these many decimal places. Say for example, एक बार खाली देखिएगा, plus round this number to nearest whole number means 0 decimal places. So comma 0, enter. Now if you would observe, this number, when you rounded it off, it's not the same as hiding or showing decimal places. When you round off a number, you've actually converted the number to a rounded figure. When you're hiding the rounded figure, it's a 5, 6, 7, 888, but it is not the same as this number. This number has 0 after it. This number has 5648 after the decimal place. So please do not make these kind of mistakes, especially when you're working with balance sheets and all. Your balance sheet is in thousands or millions or something. It's obviously you're going to be scrapping off so many numerical values. It's not going to give you the right answer. So be very careful where you're using the round function. Just observe for a minute. Nearest 2 decimal place would be round this number to 2 decimal places. So it rounds off 5648 to a 5600. 2 decimal places. That is fine. Now this is the trick I was talking about. Round this number. Now when you're paying taxes and all, it's always given to round off to the nearest tens or nearest hundreds. Nearest tens generally. So if I have a tax payable for, let's say, 5,67,887, you're supposed to be paying a tax of 5,67,890, right? Comma -1. So if I want 0 decimal places, comma 0. I want 1 decimal after the decimal point, 1. 2 decimals after the point, 2. If I want nearest tens, -1. Nearest hundreds, -2. Nearest thousand, -3. So minus sign is going to work to bring that data to the nearest tens, hundreds, thousands, etc. Are we okay till here? Bolo, following? So this minus sign is going to work. The round up and round down, it's just the similar thing. So just try this sheet very quickly. Just try this sheet very quickly and I'll just work it out for you so you can just cross verify if you're getting the same answers. Just check if you've got the same answers quickly. Are we okay till here? Okay, everybody sorted? Round up always to the integer above or to the number above. Round down always to a number below. Round to the closest number. 0.5 and above is upar, 0.5 ke niche is niche. And comma ke baad mein 0 for a whole number, 1 or 2 depending on the number of decimals you want. Nearest tens minus 1s, nearest hundreds minus 2, nearest thousands minus 3. Right? The syntax sheet is just giving you a list of the functions that we've covered and what are the inputs required. But you don't need to bother about it, because when you type the function, say for example round down, it's telling you the first input is a number and it is in bold. The moment you choose the number and click comma, the number of digits, number underscore digits becomes bold. So when you input anything in a formula, it shows you below what you're inputting over there. Right? So see those small little things. You're not supposed to be mugging up formulas. It's very logical. The way Excel has been made is very logical. Right? So this completes the first sheet, mathematical functions, part 1. This completes the first sheet, mathematical functions, part 1. Then I had also shared a file which you might be interested in. I just shared this file, Invest in Yourself. So basically reading is a very important habit. उसको बोलना 2 मिनट बाद पॉज करेगा, हम जब बोलेगा तब पॉज करने के लिए. So there's this क्या बोलते हैं, so reading is very important. So I've just shared a link. You can download quite a few books from this link. I've just shared a few names of the books for those who are good readers or for those who are not avid readers, and a few articles and all are there. If you want those articles on a regular basis, you can get your names added. For the live students, I'll get your names added anyways, and you can also connect on the different social media platforms, and you can always use those apps, News in Shots, Play Newsstand and all, to start reading. So I've just given you a list in case you're interested. So you can just look at that. Right? We'll just break for 5 minutes and then we'll continue. विश्वजीत भैया, ये फाइल्स ना, नहीं स्टार्ट नहीं करना अभी, सॉरी.